210 for the refurb.
Yeah, it depends on the finish.
Purchase for
267,750.
What's the total cost going to be of the whole project, do you think?
So it's about 5.5.
What's the end value going to be of this 7-bed fully ensuite HMO?
700,000.
700.
The most important thing is finding the right people to work with.
So today I'm back in Southampton. I was here exactly 4 months ago to see the progress on this house that's been converted into a 7-bed high-end HMO. And I'm back today to see the property completely finished. So let's say hello to Ian and Laura. Hi guys, how are you doing? Great to see you again.
Hi.
So properties are all done now. Now obviously the tenants are in, so we're not going to go through all the rooms. We're going to go look at the communal areas, talk about the numbers and what went wrong, what went right. So should we have a look inside?
Yeah, please do. Come on in.
Fantastic. Come on in. Okay, so in the kitchen and communal dining room, I must say it's a lovely kitchen. I'll be quite happy to have this at home.
Me too.
So tell us about this then.
So we tried to design the kitchen really thinking about the number of people that were going to be using the space. So sort of over here you've got double fridge freezer, everybody's got marked spaces.
Yep.
Lots of
so no arguments about who ate my sausages?
Well, I don't know if there'll be arguments, but we've done our best. And we've got cupboards which everyone's got labelled, so that everyone had a cupboard which when they came in that matched their rooms, everyone's got space.
Great.
Kitted out with everything, so all of your cooking stuff, plates, bowls, so that people can bring things if they want to, but there's plenty of stuff here as well to try and help with amounts. Washer dryer, so 2 separate washer and dryers, so that 2 people could be doing laundry and things at the same time. And just places to sit and eat if they want to, rather than going back to their rooms, and plenty of seating, and that's sort of how we designed it. Yeah, so a couple of comfy seats and an on-screen TV as well. So obviously you've had tenants in here for a while now. It's really clean and tidy, so you have a cleaner coming in? Yes. Yeah, once a week, twice a week, or so she
a couple of weeks?
She comes every 2 weeks.
Okay,
We've also given the tenants, actually at their request, some cleaning things. And I think we're also very lucky with our tenants. We've got great tenants. Yes, we do have a cleaner that comes in and keeps it up to standard. And I think that's what, when the tenants are paying money to come and live here, then these spaces I think should be clean and nice for them. Yeah, so obviously a house like this, all the bills are included, so the cleaner included as well. So what's the average rents you're actually achieving here on this property? So the average is £825 a room. Wow, £825. We're in Southampton, but still that's a pretty good rent, right? And I would have thought that's probably above the average rent in Southampton, because this is a better than average property. And the whole point of having a high-end co-living is you attract a better quality of tenants. They're a bit more discerning, a bit more prepared to pay a bit more rent because they appreciate a better house like this. Definitely. Yeah, so definitely some of the rooms, kind of the bigger rooms, sort of pushing kind of the 950 mark. They're at the top end of this area that people would pay. And so you've got to be making them really special rooms. Yeah. Wow, amazing. So let's talk numbers, if that's okay. Let's talk about what's your gross rental income, and then after all expenses, what's the profit you're making on this? Okay, so we make about just under 6,000 a month in our rent. Yeah. Once you've taken off the mortgage and the bills, all of our costs, we're getting about it's about 2,300 a month, isn't it? Yeah. And so in a year, it's about 28,000. 20,000, which is probably more than the average salary, I would have thought, about that. So from one property. From one property. I know you've got quite a few of these, which is good. Yeah. So that's a great start. And then let's talk about the numbers. Obviously, we talked about numbers when we came here. Let's talk about the what did you buy it for, the build costs, and were you on budget with all the costs and things? Pretty much on budget. So we used up our contingency. So we bought this property for 267,750. Yeah. We had a build of 225, including contingency, and we were right up to that. So that was fine. Other costs, another sort of 38,000, including some auction fee costs, or the solicitors, architects, and so that took us and then our final GDV was 675k, and so the money left in was about 24,000.
Yeah. So in other words, you're going to get that back, more than back in a year. So it's
Yes.
over 100% return on investment.
It is. We've pulled that down a bit because we've decided to have ours fully managed.
Okay.
So it is a completely hands-free asset for us, and
Great.
so but our ROI is still about 87%.
Yeah, that's
even with
amazing, isn't it?
management.
Yeah, great. And I think that's the key. I think a lot of people think that they have to run properties themselves. And for me, I don't want to be a full-time landlord. I want someone else. And you've got to find the right people, because obviously not all agents are as good as we would hope. But the whole point is, for me, property is the vehicle to allow you to free up not just your money, but then also your time. And if you're spending time managing properties, and you can absolutely do one or two, but the more you get, the more time it takes. And then you swap what was a job that maybe didn't like for a job managing properties, which isn't great. So I think you're doing exactly the right thing and making sure you're then freeing up time to buy more properties, because that's when you make the money, right?
Definitely, and I think in terms of knowledge, the amount of knowledge that we've learned with yourself and your team about how to buy houses, how to, renovate them, how to rent them out. Well, there's a whole nother thing to learn how to be a letting agent and
Absolutely.
how to keep things. I mean, I think people, including us, massively underestimated actually the skill that really good lettings teams have in terms of finding the right people, keeping them safe and happy. And I think we quickly became aware that actually it's a particularly for HMOs, it's a specialist area.
Yeah.
And the team that we've got, I mean, they do a job that I know I couldn't do.
And normal letting agents don't really understand HMOs. And I've heard clients who go to a normal letting and say, look, I'm going to do an HMO. They say, oh no, there's no demand for that here. And they say that because in their experience there isn't, because they just don't manage them. They just don't know. But I think in most urban areas, so cities and towns, where you've got a good population and lots of people who are working, there's always demand for this shared accommodation, because it's much more cost effective than it is people living on their own, isn't it?
Definitely, and you're being looked after. Someone's cleaning your spaces, paying your bills. You know what you're paying every month. Yeah, I think it's quite a win-win for a lot of people.
Yeah, fantastic, excellent. So what are some of the things that you've learned doing this project? Everyone watching this video, I hope they're massively inspired by seeing what a transformation it was when we first came here, 4 months later, seeing all. But how long did it take to get all the build work done?
It was a 20-week build.
24-week.
24-week build.
Yeah.
Details, man. 24 weeks. Yeah. So it's quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously the team can move on to the next project. I know you've got
Yeah.
a pipeline of deals, which is the smart thing to do. Okay, and then what about, this is a 7-bed, so it's a sui generis, you had to get planning permission for that. How long did that process take?
So we got a certificate of lawful development before we started for the 6-bed, so that's the C3 to C4.
Yeah, so this is not an Article 4 area?
Not
No, so therefore it's permitted development to convert, okay.
Correct, and then we started the build process, and then after we'd started the build process, we then applied for sui generis.
Yeah.
And that process took 8 weeks in total.
That's not bad, actually. That's pretty good. Yeah.
Good.
And it's good that it didn't delay the project, because I guess it still worked as a 6-bed anyway. It wouldn't be as profitable, but it still works. So you've got a backup plan. But obviously, if you meet all the criteria, there's no reason why they shouldn't give you the planning. It's not an Article 4, so they're not resistant to HMOs, which is good.
Definitely. We actually used a tip that you'd given us about going and meeting the HMO officer.
Yeah.
So once you kind of got through all the front bits of the council, finally found the right name, I took our officer for a coffee, which I don't think people had ever really listened to her or wanted to know her opinion, and asked her, what is it that you need in this town, what kind of properties? And she was fantastic, and she's got children who are kind of grown up, and she said, if I would want my children to live there, then that's a property that I think would be the right for this area. And so it was really nice to build that relationship with her and be able to ask her questions.
Yeah.
So she was really happy once we'd made that initial comment that I could actually call her up and ask her things. So yeah, really important.
I think people are sometimes scared of people like the HMO licensing officer, but actually if you're a good landlord and you're doing this properly, you've got nothing to be scared about. And actually they can be a real asset to your power team, can't they?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, great, okay. And then anything from using the builder, I know you used the builders before and they're doing other projects for you. Any learning points there that we should share with people watching this video?
Oh, that's
they've been fantastic.
Yeah, that's really hard.
We can't speak highly enough of them. They've been
fantastic.
And you found them through word of mouth recommendation from PIN meetings, didn't you?
Absolutely.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so that.
And I think, didn't you get your interior designer from PIN as well?
Yeah, but basically you just got just got
you know
all of our people from there.
Isn't it crazy? Some people don't go to networking events. I think they're missing out massively, aren't they?
I think it really matters to find the people that think like you are recommending. It's not the same thing as asking your friend at the pub who may have a great builder, but they're not doing these builds. And I think what's really special about our builds is that they're HMO landlords themselves.
Yes.
So they are also doing these projects for themselves. So they just get it. And they work really well alongside the architects, which are specialists in HMOs.
Yeah.
We're all speaking the same language. And I think in terms of quality, they don't see HMO and think, oh, that means shabby. They see HMO, that means to make that a good cash asset, we need to make this really great. So I think even better if you can find a builder that's within that network themselves.
Yeah, definitely. And I know you used an interior designer as well. And a lot of people would think, well, I could do it myself, I save myself money, and that's a real cost mindset. Whereas I think you have a value mindset where you see the value of paying the experts to do what they're good at, because it saves you time and probably saves you money as well, because you then don't make expensive mistakes that need correcting.
We couldn't do what Sarah does, could we?
She was fantastic. She was very organised, and all the details to where every plug socket, where every light fitting was going, was all sorted prior to the build. And that was great for us because it happened seamlessly, largely in our absence, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think the interior designer Sarah really involved us, but I think in the way that she sees spaces, her brain works differently to mine, and she can see flow in a space and the colours and the way that she brings everything together. You know, it's a hugely skilled job to do interior designer well. Yeah. I could choose some paint colours, but it wouldn't have looked like this. Yeah. So I think we feel really happy with that decision.
Yeah, you should be really, it does look amazing.
Thank you.
I know you have a certain standard you want to reach, and it's definitely reached that standard. And so finally, my question for you is what kind of people live in this property? What do they actually do for jobs and things?
So they're all professionals, but across different professions, aren't they? So we have people that work more sort of office jobs, and some of it they're at home, some of it they're in the office. There are people that do more manual jobs, but essentially they're all working people who are looking for one room. Sometimes there's at least one person who's come from another area who mainly will live here in the week. Yeah. But he actually has another place that he lives, sort of with family elsewhere. Yeah.
Great, good. And I think it's important when you're finding tenants to try and match them well. You want to make sure that ideally that there's similar kind of interests or certainly backgrounds, and age is quite important as well, I think. Yes. You might have one for younger people, or you can have an HMO for older people, but I think it's good not to mix them really. Yeah. And I think that's probably another reason why your lettings agent comes in, because they know, they've been down this route. You know, if they've got lots of HMOs, they understand what red flags there could be in terms of matching people up, things that I wouldn't know to ask or look for. Yeah. And so in terms of the tenant finding, I know some people think, oh, I'll find my own tenants and I'll get the lettings to come in. And our agent just sort of said, please don't do that. You know, if you want us to manage it, can we get the right people in? Because otherwise you'll sort of make a bit of a mess and ask them to come and sort it out. Yeah. Great. And then finally, just for people watching, just to inspire them of what can be done in a bit. And these are all big projects. You've gone back to bricks, you've done a lot of work on these. And sometimes we can pick up properties, maybe an existing landlord where they've got all the safety things in place, just need a cosmetic improvement. You've done the whole job. Yeah. So where are you up to now? How long have you been doing this since we did Mastermind? How many properties are you up to? And once those are all finished, what do you think the portfolio is going to be worth? And more importantly, what's it going to be generating for you after all expenses, before tax? So you probably need to ask us this question in about 6 months, I think, because we're sort of at the point of we've got lots of things coming and going. So in terms of what we've done, you know, from the moment that we started, you know, the journey, we've now got sort of 3 HMOs that we've got either sorted or in the process of being sorted. Yep. And we're now looking to expand to build a secondary portfolio in a different geographical area while we continue to build this portfolio. Yep. And so our aim would be to build 2 really strong cash flowing portfolios across 2 areas. Yeah. Maybe come back and visit in 6 months. I think we should do that again. Yeah, definitely. And also, a lot of people think they have to buy property in their local. And obviously, you started here because you know where are the good areas. You can find the deals. How do you feel about investing slightly further afield? A lot of our students do it, obviously, successfully. You know them, but how do you feel about doing that?
I think it's a slight mindset shift, but if it's possible to do it from Dubai or other places around the world, then we can certainly do it from a couple of 100 miles away.
Yeah.
And I suppose it helps having been in the group with other people doing that from Dubai and other parts of the world. If they can do it, you can do it, right?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah. And have you got any final words for anyone watching this who's saying, oh, I would love to get into HMOs, or I've got HMOs, but they're not that kind of standard? Any tips about how you suggest people can improve the quality of their properties or the amount of money they make?
I mean, I would say probably it's all to do with the value mindset that you were talking about. I think you're spending money that maybe you wouldn't even spend on your own home to get these properties really great. And I think we were given really good advice by yourself and by other people, just saying, do the work now when you first buy the property. Don't just kind of do an average job and then spend the rest of your life, touching it up. Get it stripped back and get it a really good quality, and then you've got an asset that's going to last.
Yeah.
And so I think get the work done at the beginning would be probably the big tip.
I think that's
costs
really
a lot
good
of money,
advice.
but everything is new in this house. All the electrics are new, all the plumbing's new.
So really, you should have minimal maintenance costs, just a little bit of cosmetic, keeping it on top of it, probably.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Okay, that's great advice. So look, thank you so much, and thanks for opening the door and showing us around this project, and we'll keep an eye on future projects. So thank you. And my final word is, guys, if you like this and you want to learn how to do it yourself, I'm going to be doing some online training. We're going to more depth about exactly how do you find these properties, how do you get them set up, and showing just how you can bring high quality, high-end HMOs into your property portfolio. So click on the link below this video and come and join that live training. Thank you very much, guys. Thanks. All the best. Thank you very much. Cheers.